New York, Mr. Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you all for being here for so long, for answering our questions, for your service to our country, both in uniform and as well as Secretary now in that fine suit that you're wearing today. As someone who wore the uniform myself in combat, I just want you to know, I want every service member watching to know that I believe that the American people trust, respect, and support our armed forces and have tremendous pride. I have tremendous pride, and I urge all my colleagues to share that sentiment with those that are around the world right now risking their lives for our country. Pardon me. First question I have for you, both of you gentlemen. I've been tremendously impressed, and both of your testimonies spoke to the innovation and the urgency that we've seen from Ukrainian forces and all partners fighting in the European theater right now. Faced with that urgency of combat, they've been tremendously creative, agile, and come up with all sorts of things at the tactical level, junior officers, NCOs, and soldiers that folks further from the battlefield often are not able to do. How do we bring that mindset, that urgency, and as close as we can approximate those conditions in our great innovation work that you're both part of? Would love to hear any either broad or specific thoughts from either or both.
Thanks for that, and thanks for your service too, and you and I have talked many times about that. There's a couple of really significant initiatives going on within the department, and I would point to the Deputy Secretary of Defense, Kathy Hicks, and also the Vice Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Grady, as part of the JROC process. And each of the services has their modernization programs. But at the Joint Force level, what we're trying to do is a couple of things. One is we wrote what's called a joint warfighting concept. That concept will become doctrine here in just a few months. And in order to change large, complex organizations like the military, doctrine matters. Second thing is we're exploring an initiative with the Secretary of Defense to establish what's called a Joint Forces Command or a Joint Forces entity. I don't know if it'll be a command or not, but it will help drive innovation at the Joint Force level in the years to come. That'll probably get stood up sometime this summer with the Secretary's approval, and briefings are ongoing with that. So those are two of the things. The last thing I would say that's really critically important is working with Congress to lead the way. The Army Futures Committee, I'll use that as an example, that started with an office call between myself and then Senator McCain. That couldn't have got off Jump Street without Senator McCain. There's just no way that could have happened. So the support of Congress for innovation and modernization is critical. And as I said, we're in this fundamental shift in the character of war. There's going to be continuity from the past, and there's still going to be tanks and planes and carriers and that sort of thing. But we're moving into a different era, a very different era in the conduct of warfare, with robotics, artificial intelligence, quantum computing, the ability to sense, hypersonics, and a wide variety of other technologies that are all coming in time and space in the next 10, 15 years. If we do not adapt this military, this joint force, in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to be on the wrong side of history very, very shortly against some country that may not be on our team.
Thank you, General. And I just, I appreciate both of your emphasis from the top on that sort of sentiment, and I believe that increasing risk tolerance and leaders, subordinate leaders, hearing that from you all is just so critical, and I know you're both doing that, and I commend that and appreciate that. Second quick question, I know running short on time. Speaking to the recruiting challenges, how can we try to think creatively, not across all components and skill sets within the force, but certain specialized, more technical components, the cyber mission force, for example? How can we look at a more whole-of-nation approach to build pipelines? I point to things like the Civil Air Patrol, for example, from another era. How can we do things like that around cyber?
Well, there are a number of things that we can do to support our efforts in cyber, but I would like to take this to kind of a bigger, a higher level, bigger picture. I would appreciate Congress's support in emphasizing the value of service. It doesn't have to be military service. It could be
Gentleman's time's expired. Chair now recognizes